So, in a nutshell, our biggest changes from when we start out were just finish dates and the ball pit. I mean,
well, no. I mean, for the whole project, biggest changes?
not the biggest changes, yeah, but I mean the biggest.
Change orders?
Yeah.
Biggest what?
From when we started off to where when we said we're going to start, or whatever we started last year, and said we're going to finish this day. The only thing that changed was whether the windows, whatever you call them,
And the CTE, the topic and soil.
rain.
And some of the schedules were set before. I know we took a long time for contract negotiations, so that kind of went a little bit long, but I know the dates were already set by that point. But yeah,
So
the
we
big
tried to still, at that point, we still just try to fit in the same dates.
yeah, and you know, thank goodness with the field changes and all that stuff, the stabilization and liner, we still got that. So yeah, that was a big.
So the Sabinal, maybe Cash can attest to this. Sabinal, do you feel like you're behind? Are you worried? And I'll just ask the question. I would rather move in December in the CTE building with a lot less hassle later on down the road than feel pressure to hurry, we need to get in there, the kids are underway and all this kind of stuff, and we'll deal with stuff later. I'd rather it be 100%, less warranty issues, all that kind of stuff. Do you feel like you're pressured to hurry and get in from the district?
No, sir. I don't. I mean, I can only do so much and control so many different variables.
Right.
So I want to give you all the best product I can. And those days, I mean, October is just no more issues, no more problems or delays, and I feel good about it. And it's making good progress. It looks good as we speak.
Like I said, as a team, we've worked hard to resolve the issue, and you guys have always been great. But it's just it's construction. You all people know that. So
Yeah, that's why I can appreciate the finish date. It's not October 15th, it's about October, and we're almost done. We just need a coffee. So I really appreciate those.
to be honest with you, from our side, we do appreciate because usually it is go, 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 go. So sometimes we do go and have to come back and say no more.
Right.
So appreciate that. Comment.
Well,
The thing is that the high school has been able to flex and adjust. It's not perfect, not having that facility, but you're making it work.
big picture rather than right now picture.
Yeah.
That it? Any other questions?
I got one. Back to the football field. Is there going to be one main entrance on the north side? Or
So, as far as money taking, yes, that is your one. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to set up satellite ones or whatever else, because we do have a big entry over there by the homestand as well. That's up to you guys. But that is how it's designed. That is the main entry, and that's why we have everything over there.
Cars, just that same gate,
Sorry.
vehicle entry.
Same place that we always had. I think that right now, Paul has asked Scott to also make a second exit kind of entry on the corner by Eccles.
Plus you can also enter from the back.
Yeah.
The city actually paid that. It's not dirt.
Well, yeah.
You're right.
I was very, very diligent to make sure we did not pay for that pavement, that asphalt over there. Did not cash. So that was a contractor, he spent his own money, and I actually asked for invoices.
All good.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Go back to the action items. We'll go in order here. Number 1, Discuss and consider adoption of the 1920 budgets for general fund, interest, sinking fund, and food service fund. Right from the start here.
You have our copies of these as well as access to them. This has been a truly challenging process. TA is releasing new tidbits weekly, so this will be a budget in progress all year. We're getting information. There will be some additional funding for different things. For example, we will receive funding for to pay for an SAT, ACT, or TSIA test for high school students once one reimbursement. That's not included in here because we haven't received all the details of that yet. I watched the webinar on it last week and got most of the gist of it, but there's just a lot of still loose strings out there, a lot of things that are being figured out. So you can see that for 1920, this is the summary page. This is the page that y'all are moving at the function level for general operating, child nutrition, and debt service. For our general operating, our state revenue is increasing significantly, which was the plan in House Bill 3. They're compressing our tax rate, so even though we talked about this on our property values unit, even though our property values, we had a nice little increase, our tax rate will be going down, our M&O tax rate will be going down to 97 cents from $1.04. So the revenue from that will drop. However, the state is kicking in a significantly greater amount. So for 1920, we're looking at just over $9 million in projected revenue from all sources. Our federal has gone down. It hasn't in reality gone down, but the timing of the deposits. They're getting us our money sooner, and so the money that we normally get next is like October. We already got this summer, so this year's federal is really high. You'll see that just a little bit is over 200,000. But that should be our settle up that we get this additional money for Medicaid throughout next year. And then moving down the line by function. 11 is all of our teachers' classrooms, anything having to do with instruction. 12 is library. 13, staff development, curriculum. Nothing significant has changed here except for transportation, which you can't see the details of that budget. It has gone down, but most of it's salaries now instead of outside services, instead of professional services. So most of that is now salaries. Everything else is the same with the salary increases that were approved earlier this summer. I did not do any significant increases to any budgets. There were a few tweaks here and there. For example, our FFA program, with the addition of another instructor and advisor, our students are competing a lot more, so we increased that budget just a little bit. So there's things like that, making sure we cover the cost of officials or field rental, but nothing significant. The one that I'm probably most nervous about, just because we don't know what to anticipate, is student transportation. Visited with Casey Schultz, phenomenal find for our district, and Mr. Zwicky heavily on that budget, and feel like we've done a pretty good job anticipating things. There is a $15,000 budget item in that function for an engine block for one of our a bus that's been a consistent problem, and it's down, and in case you found an engine block, it should resolve the issue. So September 3rd, I think, is when we come back from the long weekend. That PO will be in place if y'all approve this budget, and we'll have another bus accessible.
That we didn't have last year.
Yes, that we haven't had for a while.
But it doesn't qualify for the grant, so it's in essence giving us a new bus.
That's right.
We'll have to be running basically like new.
Plus, isn't there a rebate on that?
You get, I think it's 3,000 back for the core from the old one, so we get a little bit of some money back.
I didn't include that. I went with the 15 just because I just wanted to play it. So, I mean, that you can see there's our budget. The most exciting thing, and the thing that makes me very nervous, I don't know why, is there's no parentheses around that contribution to or from fund balance, and it's higher than I had been anticipating. I've been telling y'all that I thought we might have about $85,000 to play with. Well, it's almost double that. And there isn't fluff in the budget, but there's oxygen. There's a little bit of breathing room. I'm not so nervous about starting the year thinking, oh my gosh, how many times am I going to have to come to y'all to make an adjustment? It's not, I didn't increase anything. Like I said, we were able to add to a few things like FFA travel or different areas that we needed to without breaking the bank. My suggestion right now is to leave that as just a contribution to our unreserved fund balance. Let's see how TEA, how everything, all of our funding unrolls throughout the year. And then next summer, one of the things that TEA commented on our my financial report was just give a large, all of our fund balance for those first unreserved. And so I want to investigate that a little bit more, and like we talked about, reserving some for field replacement or for buses, or designated some of our fund balance for different areas. But I'd like to get a better handle on what that dollar amount will actually be at the end of the year. And I do think a lot of the money that I'm anticipating will increase on the revenue side will have a direct expense, like those reimbursements for the test. It's an in and out. You know, we get the money up front, we pay for the test. If a student doesn't take a test, we don't get to keep the money if the test goes back to school. So I'm not sure how some of that will play out on the expense side. And so I'd like to wait, I'm asking or suggesting that we wait to designate that fund balance until we get a better picture of what it actually will be. I think that's pretty close. You can see child nutrition or food services is balanced. And on the debt services side, I anticipate we'll pocket a little. I tried lowering our INS rate, like I have it to 4 digits, by that 4th digit, and we fell short. So I'd rather fall on the positive side than fall short, so we stand to pocket just under $9,000 possibly. I do want to say on the debt service, our collections were better. And so my projected, this is based on the budget that was adopted last year. But right now, after our August tax payment, we have just about $50,000 in the bank instead of $2,283. So we do have a little bit of money sitting there in our debt service.
Would you, Philip, talk a little bit about the buses and the grant VW?
Yes.
So Jennifer applied for the grant for the exchange of buses for the emissions issue back in April. We got notification in June that our paperwork had been accepted. And then that's the last that we heard. They said, oh yeah, you'll be getting your notice to proceed pretty soon. So we got another notice from them around the first part of July that said you should be getting your contract to proceed pretty soon. And then we didn't hear from them again. We were able to finally get someone to answer back one of our messages or calls last week. They told us that our contract is ready. It's in the mail. We should be getting it this week. The way the process works is you get a contract from them. All of our paperwork's in. We're good as far as that. We're waiting on a contract. We get it. We sign it. We send it back. And then they send us a notice to proceed. So if we get our contract this week like they said, we send it off by the end of the week. We get our notice to proceed a week or two after that. So by the middle of September, we're hoping very much, so I pray every night, that we'll have our new buses. We've looked at 2 different options. We have a company in San Antonio called Rush that has buses on the lot. We just have to go do a PO and pick them up. We could have them that day. Or there's another company in East Texas called Longhorn. We had them run a quote for us also. We haven't got it back yet, but I'm thinking based on what they've said, the buses at Rush are better. They're already have air conditioning installed as standard. They've got the seat belts installed standard, and they're on the lot. We could go get them. Longhorn may or may not have them on lot. They don't have air conditioning, and they sound a lot more expensive in terms of what is standard for them, but it doesn't have a lot of what we necessarily want or need. The quote from Rush is, it's $98,000 a unit, which is what for a bus. We're talking about 4 of them. We do get reimbursed up to 80%. So one of our buses or 2 of our buses are worth about 77, I think. between 74 and 77, and then the other two are worth about 34. You add that all together, I know Jennifer put in a budget at an agenda item a couple months ago that said we would about 160. That's what we would owe. So it's about what we thought it was going to be. That's from Rush. Now, we don't know what Longhorn would be. Maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's not, but it's not the same level of bus. So that would be a big difference. We're waiting to see what their unit is, but those are without air
Is there any
conditioning.
kind of guarantee with Rush, like as far as for purchasing? You know, I mean, since this other company's in East Texas and this one seems to be closer, is that a benefit?
We can go get them.
Right.
And we do a lot of our service right now over the summer,
Right.
parts and things like that. So we know the people that are there. We know the kind of service they do. They've done some warranty work on our buses this summer, and they do a really good
That's what I was
job.
gonna say.
They're very helpful in terms of getting us parts faster, working with us on price and things like that. So it's good. It would be a good business move as far as service we've gotten. I don't know Longhorn because we haven't done business with them, and they're far away. But at Rush, we could get them. They're on the lot. They're sitting there. They've got a bunch of them in stock that have ACs that are 77 passenger, which is what we're replacing. So they're ready to go. We've already done the paperwork for them as far as getting the quote. All we have to do is get our contract, do a PO, process it, and we're ready to go. We're hoping by mid-September we'd have 4 new buses.
We would bring it to y'all again since it crosses fiscal years. We would bring it to y'all again as a budget and then coming out of fund balance. We would look at what we had written, or the way it was passed in April, it would work if it would all happen at the right time. But since it crosses fiscal years, we're going to bring it back to you with the information. So,
We did apply for an additional bus in the grant. There was another bus. It's not a replacement, but it's a repower. So basically they strip it down to the chassis, give you all new engine, drivetrain, all that kind of stuff, put AC in it. It's a $60,000 cost to do that, so a little bit more than half of what a new bus costs. We do have a bus that qualifies for up to $34,000, so roughly about half of the $60,000 for a repower, but it basically gives us another new bus at a third of the cost of a new bus. So that's another one we're waiting to hear back if we get accepted for that, but there's a lot of money in it, so we should. The grant it's not a typical government grant, meaning that the money could go away. It's a trust, so the money's always gonna be there. So, once our stuff is in, that money's not gonna disappear if we don't.
Volkswagen, right?
Yes. The repower is the same thing. And there's different ways that you can apply.
they had not, all the San Antonio area allotment had not.
Yeah, there's still a lot in it, so that's why we applied for the
Yeah,
repower.
so, now some of the other areas in October,
Yeah.
so I don't know even address that, but I mean, they were giving you a year, so I would assume they would touch, but there was still money left in the second year.
And I know your next question is, do we have any more buses we could apply for? No, that was our last one. So we've exhausted our VW option on buses.
But what we are hoping for, that there will be that period of overlap with the new buses and the ones that.
So
we're
like
putting
12
out.
and 14, we have a plan to paint the hoods. We know why that's an issue. Basically, the engines get hot, it cooks the paint off because it's substandard paint. That's a issue that's common in that model of bus. So one of our plans is if we have that lag time between new buses and getting rid of the old ones, there should be a lag in there. We made arrangements with the gentleman here in town that does body work to paint our covers on those and make those basically look new too. So those are all we're looking at options for air conditioning our existing fleet. It's roughly $10,000 to $12,000, but the new air conditioners mount on the top. So a lot of the issues that we have are because your air intakes and things are on the bottom, and with our roads and stuff, they get filled up with junk. The tops don't have that problem. So it will save us in maintenance costs potentially down the road. And it's something we could do to make our older buses more modern as well and give us, we'd like to have, thinking about all the trips we make and all the routes we run, we'd like to have about 12 to 13 in our fleet. That would cover buses down. We've got volleyball, football, bands all out. We would have enough buses to cover any contingency like that. Maybe even add an extra route at some point if we had the numbers or the need to do that. That would give us buses to cover that. So that's kind of the long-term goal.
That's pretty much it. On the second page of this document is a little bit more detailed on the general fund. I wanted to show you the original adopted budget. If we amended it, back in, well, it's been amended a few times, but the overall impact, we amended it between functions. In April, we amended it for the high school gym bleachers, so there was some impact on the fund balance amount. So that you could just see kind of a comparison of where we were last year to where we are now. And then the other two pages are a breakdown of the other two budgets, child nutrition and interest and debt service fund.
Any questions for Jennifer?
Cause of that, Jennifer, what was that? There was a drop in other operating?
Yes, so other operating, when we were with all aboard, their contract would have come under other operating. And so you see a significant increase in payroll. We had the raises. We had a new junior high teacher position, the new transportation positions, the new director of where's all kinds of tasks, student services, transportation, that position, special programs. We did hire a new custodian to assist with the new building. And then this year also, every time you see payroll including benefits, when I first started budget 3 years ago, this is now my old budget, I guess, I was using a benefits percentage just to kind of lump sum estimate benefits at 16%. This year I'm using 19%. One of our TRS benefits went up 0.8. And that's not one we can use for the compensation increase that Hospital 3 required because it's a required, we have to pay it. The only thing you could use were optional compensation things. So the new positions and then that increase in it's almost 1%. That's why salaries went up so significantly. The other operating, I compared it to the amended budget, which included the high school gym bleachers, which were about $120,000, and then also we had the all award contract that was under other operating instead of under salaries.
Looks good.
Yes. I have looked to see if I can. It's very overwhelming to see a positive contribution.
What'd you forget?
Yeah, 2013 or 13.
So you just listed them, but do you know how many new positions were created off the top of your head?
Oh, yes. 1, 2, 3.
From last year to this year?
4, right? 4, yeah.
Well, three of them are all aboard, right? And then the custodian, and then the junior high teacher.
Yes.
So 5.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, there's more than that.
Oh, I guess I counted the new trans positions as 1. Yes, no, 5, sorry. Yes, 2 mechanics, a half a trans director, a half a special programs, yes, and then
So what's that number?
5, it is 5
5?
positions, yes.
So you add 5 positions. What else did we add? What else going up?
7.25% raises to teachers.
So you're paying everybody more. You're adding 5 more people to it, and you're saving $160,000.
I'm going to tell you that.
I mean, that's a hard statement to realize.
Well, okay, but I know Hospital 3 did some good things for us.
Right, yeah.
What I am concerned about long term is the tax compression. We're going to have to watch that. We're okay for a few years, and then depending on how much our property values are increasing, they cap you out. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Talk about the $1.04.
Right. So we're down to 97 cents now.
Okay.
Can't go higher than that. Next year, I think we can go to 98 if y'all approve it. But our effective tax rate, depending on how our property values climb, which they don't call it effective tax rate now, it's called your voter approved rate, is on a long projection is dropping. So I'm watching that.
Go all the way down to 93.
Rate, yeah, 5 years out, no, 6 years out, 5 years, and out to like 93 cents, which at first isn't effective because it's dropping very slowly, but farther out, long term, is concerned with. So,
Just enjoy the moment.
well, and, yeah, we need to be thoughtful about our 160,000 sitting right there, so, yeah.
That would go quick. I mean, we got lots of things that we can still get better at. But so, in addition to me putting a bow tie on everything, it's going to do it even further. It said taxes are going lower, potentially.
Right.
Going the other, so taxes go the other way. You're adding positions and you're paying teachers. I mean, that's all classroom stuff, right? That's all school district main goal stuff.
It's kind of good. It's blissful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great job.
Any questions on the budget?
State the motion
Okay.
or your recommendation.
Recommendation going to Mark, or are you going to repeat it?
No, listen to her.
I recommend that you adopt the 2019-2020 Poth ISD budgets for general fund interest and fund as presented.
Read it just like that action item.
Yes, please.
Okay, before the conversation now turns to the board. Any questions, any other questions, any conversation between the board members? Or any actions?
I move to adopt the 2019-2020 Poth ISD budgets for general fund, interest and sinking fund, and food service fund as presented.
Any other conversations, any other points of order, any other statements? Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. I kind of just want to walk out the door now and not come back. Don't worry about it anymore, right? Done.
I need my tax rate, please.
Done. You want more? Action item number 2, the tax rate, since she asked.
Okay, state law requires that we adopt our budget first and then our tax rate. And as you can see, for maintenance and operations, our rate is no longer $1.04, it's now 97 cents. It did go up slightly on the INS side, from 0.3165 to 0.3309 to cover our debt service payments. And when we pass the bond, the voters give us y'all the approval to increase that rate to cover the bond service payments, but the overall tax rate did drop. So now the overall tax rate would be 1.3009. Yes, we do need that 10,000 of a cent because it helps me cover my debt service payment. We're at $1.35, 1.3565, so we did go down overall, and that was due to the increase in property values. So in reading this, I'm going to ask you to read them separately. That you motion to approve the 2019 tax rate, 97 cents for the purposes of maintenance and operation, and 0.3309 cents for the purposes of principal and interest on debts. They have to be read separately.
So what are we, that's for a long gift? So why are we not at $1.04? No more?
State law.
House Bill 3.
State, that is the
So
compression.
they gave it to me, but okay.
So we used to $1.04 as our max, now it's 97 cents.
Okay.
Like we said, it's going to go down. Soon our max will be.
I was visiting with Mr. Pavella at their open house last week, and they're already talking about, to go through a TRE now, we have to have an efficiency audit, like, you have to do a lot. But they're already having those conversations. So it's like, that's a little early for us to have those conversations. I'm optimistic.
Down to 93, or that's just talk that's going to go down?
No, that was on my template projections, and that's using just, my best guess on what our property values are gonna be. Yeah, no, that would be what happens, the whole effective tax rate.
So your recommendations?
To approve the 2019 tax rate, and they need to be read separately, 97 cents for the purposes of maintenance and operation, and 0.3309 cents for the purposes of principal and interest on debt.
conversation open for the board.
So what was it before?
It was $1.04 for maintenance and operation, and it was, 0.3165, yes, 0.3165 for, principal and interest on debt, or
For a
items.
total of,
$1.3565, 1.3565.
The interest on paid loans stays in. Here's some money, but lower.
That's our
your
bond
maintenance
note, it's not the maintenance tax note. Maintenance tax note is covered in our maintenance operation. That would be, those cover our bond payments.
Do we still have a loan out there?
Limit.
The maintenance tax note, yes. I listed that separately on the general fund budget, but breakdown, I liked that part out just because it just helps me that we have to. We have interest.
so repeat that recommendation.
Okay. I recommend that you approve the 2019 tax rate at 97 cents for the purposes of maintenance and operation and 0.3309 cents for the purpose of payment of principal and interest on debts.
I make a motion to approve the 2019, 97 cents on the dollar for service maintenance operation and, 0.3309 for purpose of payment of principal and interest on debts.
Second.
I knew that statement would come quick. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, let's keep going. Let's go, budget amendment. We're already changing it, last
No, no, this is, okay. Yeah, we're having, this was fun, having our meeting a week and a half early. Oh, it's good, it's good to get it out of the way, it was an experience. No, first of all, there's zero impact on the budget overall. This is only between the functions, moving money around. What happened was, when we approved the compensation plan, we have some staff members that their new money starts July 1, and we have some staff members whose new money starts August 1. So those things hit. And then other benefits, there was one that was kind of, when budget comes over from payroll, it comes in at the percentages automatically. And so if there's any changes throughout the year, if somebody adds insurance and it wasn't originally budgeted, or there's different things that tweak throughout the year, so sometimes benefits get overexpensed. So this is basically taking money that's left sitting in this pot and just moving it to this pot to cover where it went over. Or in this case, where I think I'm a little nervous that if the audit happens, and they see something that I didn't catch that belongs in 1819, that I paid for in 1920, they'll move it back to 1819. I try to catch all those things, but inevitably there might be something that I miss. So anyhow, this takes care of all those things you can see. On food services, that is something we have no control over. It's TRS on behalf, it's a certain percentage, and we went $46 over, so I need $46 added to function 35 food services. On the debt service payment, I don't know why I didn't budget the extra dollar, and I'm sure on my audit report it's going to be rounded down anyway, but I was a little bothered by the 18 cents in the red, so I'm asking you for $1. You're going to see that again in just a minute, but it was only 5 cents on the debt service fund. So.
You need me to give you 4 quarters?
I'm just stealing that from someplace else that has.
I can contribute that.
Anyhow, are there any questions you can see where we're pulling from, and no significant major pots of money we're laying around percentage-wise, even though it may look like it percentage-wise.
What are you gonna do with the extra 82 cents?
It's gonna sit there. It'll be $1 over, I guess, or maybe that's fine. Yeah, that's an in-taxable earning. 2.68%.
So are you going to do all three?
Oh, yes, let's get through. So any questions on general fund? The next one, I'm not sure. Okay, so debt service. And there's my dollar. We did have better than usual collections, not a ton better, but enough to cover the dollar. And so that's on our debt last one is child nutrition. And I'm being very comfortable on this. It's very difficult. There's so much revenue that comes in August, that's classed in August on my audit report. It's hard to kind of know. I don't think we're going to need to dip into fund balance, but I'm being conservative on this, and I also don't know exactly what Ms. Banks' food bill's going to be next week. So she sent me everything that she has for orders, but then there's stuff. It's kind of hard to predict. So this is worst case scenario. She's going to need about $24,000 more to cover the overexpense salaries from raises, and then some additional food because she's been selling over 600 lunches a day, which is amazing. And so we need to, and that money will come back on the revenue side. That's why I have a school breakfast program and national school lunch program. We're expecting some additional revenue from those. And then also in sales, her sales have been up. So any questions on child nutrition? If not, then I would ask y'all to approve the final 2018-2019 budget amendments for general fund, debt service fund, and child nutrition fund as presented.
I move to approve the final 2018-2019 budget amendment for general fund, debt services, and child nutrition fund.
I'll second.
Moving second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Number 4, contract extension for the depository.
Still me. And this one slipped by me. We got the depository contract done 2 years ago, and it is time to just renew the contract. No changes. I talked to Mr. Sakula. They're happy with us. We're happy with them. We just need to do this for TK.
Recommendation?
So everything stayed the same.
Everything stays the same. No changes.
So we recommend that you extend the depository contract from Fall City National Bank for an additional 2-year term.
I move that we extend the contract.
I second.
Board have any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Number 5.
Almost done. These are our Region 20 commitments. We brought these to you last year and bringing them to you again. There's very few changes. At the top, there is one there that is new for 1920. When I was reviewing the purchasing cooperatives that are available to us through Region 20, most are free. This one, there was a charge, but when I went and looked at the vendors and how much we spend on those vendors and what the discounts were, I feel like this would be a wise decision. And so if y'all will support that, then I'll get with you like Hilgi. We spend a lot of money with Hilgi for music stuff, and they are on this purchasing cooperative. It gives us discounted pricing, and it also saves us from having to do a lot of shopping around for prices. So that's new. The counselor cooperative, I spoke to Nicole and Susie, and the price went up to $1,500 from $500, and they decided that they would attend the classes they want to attend. Actually, Susie sent me emails, and I signed up for the ones I wanted that they were free. So we opted not to join the counselor cooperative. And I wanted y'all to know that because we do. We sit there and we look at the cost of things. The nurse cooperative was disbanded, I guess. It's been absorbed into what is now called the School Health and Safety Cooperative. There are a lot of amenities for joining this cooperative. Some free classes. This gets into the mental health requirements that are offered. There's a lot of great amenities available. It is more expensive.
And we find it interesting, there's a lot of mental health stuff coming with that new house bill. Like,
Yes.
like a ton.
Yes. So this seems like a good choice for us as well. Everything else, they are cooperatives we've been part of. Some we don't have a choice on really. I mean, I guess we do, but like our hosting services, they host our Texas program that we use for all of our student information and accounting. And they do a great job, and it's great for backups. So prices on some of those things are based on our ADA, and so they do go up a little bit when our ADA increases, which of course it did last year over 17, so some of our prices do go up. And so our grand total for next year would be $45,037.71, which is just over a $2,700 increase over 18. So if you're okay with that, I would ask ask for y'all to approve the 2020 commitments for services.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019-2020 services through Region 20.
That's all right. As presented.
As presented.
Okay, second. Any questions, comments, conversation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries 7-0. Stay with Jennifer, go to your stuff. Go to your bank reconciliation report.
Okay,
You
well,
ready?
this next one's mine too, though, the donation.
Okay, we'll go that one.
And that's it, and then that's it for me.
No, it's
Okay,
not.
so
We're
for that-
gonna do your other stuff. Keep
They
going
all
after
really
that.
All right. Athletic boosters, it's an amazing job coming through for our athletes. They donated $6,100 for a sled that is usable on the new turf, so it won't damage the turf. So we are asking you to accept it because per policy, leaving over $5,000 is achieved for.
Recommendation is to accept it.
Yes, please. Our recommendation is to approve the donation from the Cliff Athletic Booster.
Heidi seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Information items, business manager update.
Bank rec is going to look a lot different next month after we made this. Yes, we are now. This is for July, and we made our tax payments, interest and sinking dropped to about $50,000. We made our debt service payments in August. In our general fund, it's deficit budget, so it's doing the Terry and I are working together. I told her before she takes the payroll to bank, let me know because I might have to move some money if our TA payment doesn't come in when I anticipate it to. So watching that very closely. Any questions on the bank statement? I do think we just possibly, yes, I did, a big payment to Savin also.
I saw one on there to back with electronics, I think like 2,600 or something.
I think that was our annual service agreement,
That's because it said monitoring for something.
fire alarms.
Okay, but it wasn't just monitoring, it included.
It's an annual service, they come out and service it.
There you go, that's the
Oh,
one.
I-
I need to increase my own price.
When I took this job, I told my kids they could pick a therapy job like speech, physical or OT, because we're hard to find, we pay them a lot of money. HVAC, we spend a lot of money on those, and fire alarms. Those were the 5 jobs I told my kids they could pick. We spend a lot of money. Well, not a ton on fire alarms, but it's ridiculous for what we do. So I'm sure.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bonnie. I was like, I'm not asking them.
You trying to keep it that way?
They,
You're right, Jerry.
Summary
sorry.
board report.
Those batteries are expensive, and they're always out.
Well, we have to mark them up.
It's a, yeah.
Yeah, they have to go through a USD process. So it's more expensive than just.
And I understand they serve very good for us. But my oldest is gonna be her TC.
Okay, the next one.
Okay, summary board report. Any questions on this? This was before August payroll, so everything looked nice and healthy.
Terry's taking that money.
Yeah.
That's what.
Collections report.
Tax collections, still doing really well. I don't know if y'all noticed, but on the general fund, I decreased our prior tax collections amount because our current tax collections are doing really well. So,
All good?
looking
I'm
good.
assuming we do any budget and forecasting with the
Yep.
17 action items we already did.
Yep, all good.
All right, let's go to number 7, adjunct faculty agreement.
This is, the next two, you see this annually so that our kids can participate in FFA and 4-H, and we still receive attendance credit. So we have 2 here. The first one is the adjunct faculty agreement with the Wilson County Extension Service. Same exact request we brought you last year. This one, 4-H. So it's sanctioned by you for the kids to participate. So the recommendation is approval of the 1920 adjunct faculty agreement with Wilson County, Texas AgriLife Extension Service.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, conversation, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0.
And the next one is the adjunct faculty request with Atascosa County. And this one basically says the same thing, that the kids are counted present if they're participating in 4-H and agricultural events that are away from the campus. So the recommendation is to approve the 1920 adjunct faculty agreement with Atascosa County AgriLife Extension.
Move to approve 2019-2020 faculty agreement with Atascosa County, Texas AgriLife Extension Service.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Number 9.
Number 9, we need to go through a process because we currently have a Poth FFA Booster Club, and this has been in existence for many, many years. Mr. Zwicky has done a lot of work on this one. Bottom line is there are no bylaws that can be found. The bank doesn't have any on record, and the consistency, the policy and procedures are not written
There's
out.
also not a lot of oversight from our end as far as funds and what they're directed to. For the most part, we feel that the funds have been used appropriately, but there is no system in place for oversight because there's no bylaws. We became aware of this issue back in the fall. We had an exchange between our booster club and our ag teachers. And so it got to a point where the booster club was asked for their bylaws. They were operating without them and had been for a very long time. And so in an effort to make things more transparent for our interaction with our booster club, their interaction with our ag teachers and our students, we recommend that we dissolve our current ag booster club. What that does is that disassociates our name, our facilities from them. They're still a club, and they have the right to do that, but they're not associated with Poth ISD. And in doing that, that would allow us to create a new booster club that operates under a set of bylaws. So what we've done in the spring is we've gone out into the community and had asked for people to help us assemble and create a new set of bylaws. And to open up the process to electing new officers in the future. All those things have to be done with a set of bylaws, which in order for us to create that, we have to dissolve our current relationship with our existing booster club. And that was what we were recommended. We talked to our representative at Wash Gallegos. They recommended that we do the same thing. In fact, this is not uncommon for districts to do. So this was a recommendation. I met with the previous, the existing booster club members and explained to them the situation and why we're making this move. They agree that it needs to be done correctly by having a set of bylaws and be established that way and run that way with oversight and transparency. The issue, I guess the question probably on everyone's mind is, well, they raised money, so what happens to that? Well, because they are technically an entity, that money is controlled by them. It doesn't carry over to our new booster club when that sets up unless they choose to do so. So that was the question that they asked when we met. Really the only stipulations that they have is they have to spend the money in the spirit with which it was raised, and that's according to Wash Gallegos. So if it was raised for supporting FFA, that's how they have to use it, even though they no longer are affiliated with us. Or they have to refund the money back to the people that donated it, which I think will be an issue because of having receipts and those kind of things. I don't think that's a viable option. So we've spoken with them about, they asked what they should do with it or what they thought we should do. Well, we were advised by Wash Gallegos that we're not their legal counsel, but we did tell them that here are some options that you can, or here's what people in similar situations do with that money. So they are working on a plan for what they're going to do with that money to assist the new booster club. But we told them to wait until we have the new one in place, so there's transparency, there's a way to keep all records and things like that, so we don't get into a situation we had before.
So it looks negative on the agenda, but it's not. It's really a good thing to put guidelines. One we want to model it after is like our own boosters and PTO. You operate by guidelines and bylaws.
Some of the issues that we dealt with this year could have been addressed by that very easily, and we weren't able to do that because we didn't have anything to go by. So that was a big issue in this also.
So my recommendation is to disaffiliate with the Poth FFA Booster Club.
Moved and seconded. Any conversation, any questions by the board? All in favor, say aye. Go ahead, you're good.
So when you talk to the people, I guess from the current booster club, did they have the option to create bylaws and they just didn't want to?
Well, we asked, we tried to work with them in the spring to do that. First, we tried to find if there was ever a record of having existing bylaws, because we figured at some point they had to have had that to start. And no one was able to reproduce either at the bank or from previous records or anything like that of an initial set.
They were given opportunity.
There were several meetings where they.
Yes. And so what we did at that point then was we said, okay, we don't have one, so we need to try to create one. So we had community members work to create a set of bylaws that they had the opportunity to operate under.
Were any of those community members current board members of the Booster Club, Agriculture FFA Booster Club? Were any of those people that you talked to?
I don't know who they spoke with, our people that created that or started that process, but I know that's the direction that they went to, were people in the community that had an interest in creating a set of bylaws.
The two
People in
current,
the community, my question is, were any of those people who are currently on that board?
the two officers that FFA has now were in those.
The two officers.
Okay, there are two. Right now, your Poth FFA Booster Club consists of two people.
Those two.
Do you know what their names?
I know their names.
Okay, so it's
We all know
two.
their names.
Okay, they're two individuals, and they were given the opportunity multiple times to formulate a set of bylaws.
That was the question?
Yes.
And so the recommendation by Wash Gallegos, when we were unable to produce those, and to create a new set, we would have to start over from scratch, basically. And so in order to do that, you have to dissolve yourself with that previous affiliation to start a new chapter that operates under bylaws. And so that's why we're making the motion to do that.
Okay, any other questions? There's a motion on the table, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries 7-0. Number 10,
This is the T-test timeline and appraisers for the 2019-2020 year. T-test is our appraisal system for our teachers. And you can see the timeline is very strict on when you can start, when you have to perform certain functions, and when it stops. So to carry that out, we are fortunate. We've got the three campus principals, Laura Kroll, Todd Deaver, Carla Brish, that are approved T-test appraisers. And then in the event someone would like a second appraisal, you need to bring in someone other than the initial appraiser. We have Lori Spencer, Joshua Wadsworth, and Philip Zwicky, who are all certified T-test appraisers. So we really have a good cadre in place here. So my recommendation is the approval of the 2019-2020 appraisers and calendar for the T-test evaluation program.
goes to the board. Anybody have any questions, conversations?
I move to approve the 2019-2020 appraisers and calendar for the T-test evaluation program.
Seconded by Eric. I have a question. If a person wants a second evaluation, do they get to pick who evaluates it? No? All right. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries 7-0. I told you 13 times. Too many were dragging. 12, number 11.
We have the student handbooks and the code of conduct for 1920. The principals work together to produce one student handbook for the district. This really makes things uniform. I'm going to let them speak briefly about the process, any major changes out of the legislative session.
No major changes out of the legislative session. We decided to get together and try to streamline it. We get it this way from CASB, and rather than separate it out in each campus, just keep it together. So we felt like that was an easier format, easier for all of us to stay consistent between different campuses on everything that it addresses, and that's it.
Any questions? You can see on the table of contents